We'll go ahead and get started. And today it's my honor to start the meeting off and until we have a president elected. So Jenny, will you go ahead and call roll, please?
Bush.
Here.
Greenlee is absent today. Harris.
Here.
Hill. No Hill. Longstreet.
Here.
McCaffrey.
Here.
Miedema.
Here.
Reichart.
Here.
Rice.
Here.
Sachs.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. So we thought since we have some new commissioners, we thought we would go around. We'll start with me and just do some real informal introduction. So my name's Jason Shamblin. I'm the director here with Ottawa County Parks. I've been here since 2019.
My name is Jason Berger. I'm the coordinator of park maintenance and operations, and I've been here since 2014. Last time we had snow like this.
My name is Glenn Bosch, and I'm the coordinator for fund development. Sorry. My name is Glenn Bosch, and I am the coordinator for fund development. And this is only my second year. And so we had a very mild winter last year. That's what I was looking forward to again.
Jane Longstreet. I've been on the Parks Commission since 2020. And I'm also the rep, or I have been the rep to the Parks Foundation Board. So kind of dual role.
Allison Miedema, County Commissioner from District 11, and this is my third year serving on Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Paul Sachs, Director of Strategic Impact for Ottawa County, serving as a regional planning representative on this commission, and I think since 2023. I don't know, I just lost track of time.
Yeah.
My name is Martin Harris. I'm serving as a public representative, and I'm brand new here.
Welcome.
Kelly Rice, Parks Commission, been on for about 9 years now, background in ecology and natural resources.
Linda McCaffrey, I've been on since 2020 with Jane, and I've been a couple of different things, the Finance Committee Chair and the Secretary, which may or may not happen again.
I'm Field Reichart. I've been on for 3 minutes. And I represent the Road Commission on this commission as well. So the roads today, I called ahead and tried to get them to do a little better job on Fillmore, but I'm not sure that they got my message. I also am on the West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission, which is an interesting organization, and have served on a planning commission in Grand Haven and have done a lot of on the edge of government work for a long time. I used to be head of international programs for the state government of Michigan for a number of years.
And I'm Joe Bush, the Ottawa County Water Resources Commissioner. I think I'm the longest serving board member. I've been on here since I got elected in 2013. So yeah, I'm one of the countywide electeds.
Kurt Terhaar, I'm the coordinator of park planning and development. I'm a landscape architect by training. Plug that in. I got y'all beat. I'm on my 20th year, 20 in July. So.
Take that, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've been with the county 24 years.
I started with the county in 2000. So Tyree, I got you all beat.
Hi, I'm Jenny Anderson. I'm the administrative assistant for the Parks Department.
I don't have a mic, it turns out. I'm Jessica Vangenhoven, coordinator of community engagement. I have been with Parks since 2015, so I'm going on my 10th year here. Actually, in 3 days, it will be my 10-year anniversary.
Good milestone.
All right. So last month, the president advised us that Jane and Linda were the nominating committee, and would either one of you want to share nominations?
That would be me. As you may recall, for those of you who were here at the December 2024 commission meeting, Kelly, then the president, appointed Jane Longstreet and I as the nominating committee for the coming 2025 board year. Jane and I met virtually, mostly, on a number of occasions to figure out how to go forward. And when the Board of Commissioners made their final decisions, we had presented the final submissions for the parks. So we are nominating Kelly Rice as president, Jane Longstreet as vice president, and Lucas Hill has agreed to serve as the secretary. And
Thank
that
you.
would be our
Your slate.
slate, yeah.
Thank you. So are there any nominations from the floor at this time? Any nominations from the floor? All right, so if not, then the nominations are closed. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. So Kelly, I hand it off to you.
Great. Okay, thanks, Jason. All right. At first, I just we kind of already went over welcome, but special welcome to our new Parks Commissioners here. So it's really, really great to have you on board. I think we're going to have a fantastic year. Just trying to put myself back in my first meeting, I just kind of wanted to throw out a couple of procedural items there. All the meetings we have here are recorded and can be viewed on the Ottawa County Parks YouTube channel. So just a reminder to make sure when you speak into the microphone, because even if we can hear you in here, it doesn't pick up on YouTube if you're not speaking into your microphone. So if anyone sees your neighbor not using their microphone, maybe just give them a little reminder. The meeting format you'll see on the agenda that was circulated. The agenda items are governed by the parks bylaws. So this is kind of the accepted format for our parks meetings. And the agenda items are spelled out in there. We really try to follow Robert's Rules of Order. I think we're on the 12th edition. I have my book in my backpack. It's a nice thick book if anybody wants to get up to speed on Robert's. Oh, there we go. There's Jason's copy over there. That's what we try to run the meetings by. But Parks has always been a very cordial, considerate, and nonpartisan commission. So we've always had a really good time discussing things and working through them. Just to note, a quorum must be present for us to have a meeting and vote on items. So if you can't attend a meeting, make sure you let me know right away, because some of our parks items that Kurt and Jason and the coordinators put together are time sensitive. So we need to know, if we have to reschedule the meeting because we can't have a quorum present. So please try to be really good. Don't just be a no-show. So the president or the chair does run the meeting, but everyone gets a turn to speak. Usually the procedure, if you want to say something, just raise your hand or give a little nod or indication, and we'll just call on you to chime in when we're talking about items and issues. And everyone's allowed to participate equally. So everyone is expected to vote unless you have a direct conflict of interest. So just try to be prepared. So the packets, I know when I started, could be a little overwhelming, when you're new and trying to get up to speed on anything. So I would just say feel free, once we establish our committees, to always go to the committee chair if you'd like more information on an item that's on the agenda that we'll be voting on or have a proposed motion on. Or you can always ask it here in this meeting too. Excuse me, but feel free to reach out to the committee chairs ahead of time. I think we're going to talk about committees in just a minute here, but maybe I'll roll it in. You'll see item number 7 on the agenda is the committees. Those are our committees that we have, kind of subcommittees of the Parks Commission. Those new people, I would take a look. Jason and his staff put together a really nice 1-page summary of kind of what the different committees tackle and talk about. Also frequency, I guess just to point out, they do meet once a month with the exception of community engagement. That one usually meets every other month. So just to keep that in mind with your availability and what you might like to participate in. So the one thing to point out that's really important is our committees don't make any decisions. They're just advisory only. Everything that the Parks Commission does comes to the Parks Commission to vote on. So everyone will be voting on it on our items here in the meeting. So if you're not on one of the committees, don't feel like you're missing out and don't have a chance to weigh in, because everyone definitely will when the topics come back to the Parks Commission. So I think since we're going to try to make these committee assignments very quickly, if you all could let me know by Friday, which committees you might be interested in. We might not be able to honor all of the suggestions and requests, but we'll try to take that into consideration to try to put folks where they feel like, they might be able to make the most impact or get the most energy. Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
Kelly, do you want us to, if we're happy with the committees we're on, do you want us to just communicate that to you?
I would say
or-
if you are happy with where you're at, you don't need to
Okay.
respond, but anybody
Okay.
new, please respond. Or if you want to make a change, like, hey,
Okay.
that just really wasn't working for me, or I can't be on that committee anymore, maybe let me know. So yeah, email by this Friday, the 24th. So if you guys could do that, hopefully you can find me on the, the parks email chains that have been going out. And then just one other item I wanted to just quickly touch base on. As you'll notice that we kind of get a second packet some months, and some of that is for closed session. Aaron has a really good verbiage section in his email about the requirements for closed session and the note, on the confidentiality of that transmission, the materials are governed by the Michigan Open Meetings Act requirement and so forth. So closed session are private, and make sure you read that. He's got all the verbiage right there in his email he sends out. But I would say, 99% of the time when we go into closed session is talking about property issues and property acquisitions. So yeah, so I think that's most of kind of the procedure. Anybody have any questions before we dive into the meat of the meeting? All right. So we will start with approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. So these will be for the December 18th meeting. And we'll need a suggested or a
Think
proposed motion.
Check number 8. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Oh, right. Yep. I guess if anyone does have suggestions for additions or deletions to the agenda, try to bring them up in this meeting for next month or ahead of time before we get into the meeting. That's generally the way we try to operate, unless there's an emergency or an unforeseen item that comes up.
I think
So, go ahead. Do we have one for
before we move
today?
on, I think the one thing that we really try hard to discuss any of the items that come before the Parks Commission and one of the committees.
Right.
And then we even have the executive committee meeting. So if there is something that happens last minute, we try to run it by the executive committee before it makes it on here for consideration. So.
Good point. All right, with that, we don't have any other additions or deletions to today's agenda, right, Jason?
Nope.
Okay, great. Okay, then we will move on to the December 18th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those if everyone's had a chance to review them?
Was it the 18th or the 19th? Looks like it's December
Oh,
19th.
sorry, it was the 19th. You're right.
So I think there's just a
Good
typo
catch.
on the agenda. And I'll make that motion.
Support.
Great, thanks, Jane. And thanks for the second, Joe. All right, any other questions? Comments? on any of that? All right, we'll just go ahead and put it to a vote then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, minutes are approved.
Could I say one thing there?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead, Linda.
So Sia mentioned to me, for those of you who are expecting per diem checks from the last quarter, that we needed to do that. We needed to approve the minutes before those will happen. So expect Sia to be sending you her, whatever your email is that you get. So we needed that done.
Great. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. Anything else? Okay, we will move on. We do have some communications in the packet. I don't know that we were going to touch, that is actually included in the planning committee report. So I think we'll probably just address that there unless there's anything else you wanted to add at this time, Jason?
No.
Okay. All right, public comment. I do not see anyone in the audience, but anyone online who, let's see. Anyone online who's watching on YouTube who would like to submit written comments, you can submit them at any time during the month and just address it to the Ottawa County Parks and Recreation Commission, and it will be brought to our attention. So there also should be in the comments section of the YouTube of the place where to send, or not comments, in the in the description of the YouTube program, where to send those, any public comments you might have. All right, we will move on to staff reports under number 12. I don't think we have a director's report this month. Some of those items Jason typically talks about are incorporated in some other reports this month too. So we will go on to the Parks Operations Report with Jason Berger, who is the coordinator of Park Operations.
All right. Well, this month has been taken up a lot with snow removal. And the Pigeon Creek Lodge has been open almost the entire month. It's one of our longest stretches of being open every single day. So that's been very nice. Unfortunately, the past few days, the cold weather has kept people away. So I guess we have to hit that sweet spot where we have the snow, but it's not zero to get more people out there. But it's looking like the next week we're gonna get that. So we're gonna be in the low to mid 30s, and we should have some really great ski conditions out there. In addition to that, we've had a lot of interviewing and preparing for some new positions with our new operations secretary, the assistant park supervisor, and the visitor and business services coordinator, which is going to be coming up. So spending a lot of time in going through resumes and applications and preparing for that. In addition, with that, some of the changes to the as a result of the strategic plan, one of the main things that's happened is our operations manager position was eliminated, and the employee Bob Reichel, who was in that position, is now our supervisor of projects and construction and projects. So with that, I now directly supervise the park supervisors. So been meeting with them regularly and making that transition throughout the month, and figuring out how we're going to continue that forward. So January's been a busy month.
Yeah.
Quick question, Jason. Is the new office being built for the operations secretary, is that at Eastmanville Farms, or is that at near the Hiawatha?
Yeah, that's at the Park Operations Center at Hiawatha Forest on
Hiawatha,
Fillmore.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that picture in there, that was it was actually a fairly large closet that we used for storing all the supplies for our motor vehicle permit program. And when our motor vehicle permit program became all digital, all those stacks of paper and stickers and envelopes and receipts and everything were no longer needed. So that became a perfect spot for an office, but it still looked like a closet until we put the window in.
And I noticed there's a nice big window.
That's a new window.
Nice.
That's a new window. We
nice
cut a window there
vista.
to make it look like an office.
Mhm. I like that. Okay, so it is the one at Hiawatha.
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
thanks.
It's directly next to my office.
Yep. Okay.
Any questions? I'd be glad to answer.
Anyone else? All right, super quick. Do we know when you can start making reservations for Ottawa Sands?
No, however, I will say,
Ballparkish?
no, we don't. Actually,
Okay.
there's with this cold weather, we've discovered that our heaters don't keep up in the yurts, and we had frozen pipes in the big yurt.
Oh, no.
So
Okay.
right now, we're lucky that we hadn't started taking reservations, because we'd have some angry customers that were that'd be very cold. So we are meeting with the architect and the contractor next week to come up with a solution for that. Currently, we've got a second heater in the big yurt, so the pipes are now not frozen. The toilet doesn't have ice on top anymore.
And we're still waiting on the window.
Yeah, and the window blinds, that contract has been let, and we're waiting on installation on the window blinds as well. And then we have a few programming things to work out in RecTrack for getting it online and programmed. So I thought we were down to just blinds and programming, but now we're blinds, programming, and heat. So we're going the wrong direction.
Gotcha. I think there was an M Live article or something that said how to make reservations, or I'm like, oh, and I clicked on it. I'm like, wait, I don't see how you can make reservations. So it's probably just a little misleading the way they presented it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be as soon as possible. I mean, I would really, I mean, obviously we're gonna have it done before spring, but I'd like to still get them up and running yet this winter.
Anybody else? All right, we will keep rolling with the planning and development report with Kurt, who is the coordinator of park planning and development.
All right, thank you. You have my written report, but let me just highlight a couple of things and then add a couple of things that weren't on there. We will get to the Rosie Mound project master plan later in the meeting, but we spent quite a bit of time refining that and getting it to this stage where we think we can approve it. Two pieces of good news. One is we had a small project to help improve the beach at Gross Park, and amazingly, we got our permit for that within like, I don't know, 45 days, which never happens. So that's great. So that project will start in the spring and hopefully be done before we've got a lot of beach goers there. In terms of, well, let me just say this. One thing that isn't on there is I've started in earnest working on the 5-year parks plan, which needs to be, well, it will be approved next year at this time, but it really is a year process to go through it. So I'm working through the current one, seeing what needs to be changed and updated. It will also be incorporating a lot of work that's been done with the other divisions as part of their strategic planning, determining what they think they would want going forward. So we'll incorporate all of that. But it's, it's a big, thick document. So there's lots of words to go through and lots of numbers to crunch. So anyway, that's going to be taking up quite a bit of time in the next couple months as I try to get rough drafts ready for people to look at. And then the other thing, just to keep on your radar, next month we will be coming forward with recommendations for grant applications. We normally apply, a number of the grant programs you apply on April 1. So we will need to approve those to move forward to the full county board in March so they can be submitted in April. One of them will be for the first phase of our Rosie Mound project, and we're looking also at another segment of trail that we think we may have a chance to secure some grant funds for. So that's what's coming up. If you have questions, happy to answer them.
Anything for Kurt? All right, we'll keep going then with the community engagement report, and that will be Jessica, who is the coordinator of community engagement.
Yes, thank you. So I wanted to highlight that I'll be reporting out for friends in this report every month. I actually have a coffee planned with Alice on Friday, and we'll make sure we get some regular updates about what they have going on in there. But today, just a kudos to them for their support with the lights at night. I included a little snippet of placer data. Thankfully, the snow certainly helps, so we can't take, it wasn't just the lights, but we had a 200% increase in visitation at Pigeon Creek in December from the previous year. So pretty cool. And we're excited, like I said, to just see how that event can grow. Definitely worth mentioning that the contract for interpretive services for the Grand River Greenway project with Ottawa and Kent County was approved. We are working on getting our first meeting scheduled, which is very interesting. Lots of different people, and we're working with time zones too. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get that one on the books here soon. If you have some time in a month from today, actually, we'd love to invite you to Hemlock Crossing for a screening of the Ottawa Sands documentary. I'm really excited about how it looks. A few folks in here have gotten a sneak peek, and we were able to work with Scott, who is the digital media specialist for the county, and he's just amazing. Definitely blows any of my video work out of the water. So hopefully we can have him working on lots of stuff with us. But I'm really excited about that. 6:30 will be screen time. I don't think I had it when we made this report, but
What was the date?
February 22, 222.
Is that 6:30?
6:30.
What
Yep.
time?
Yep.
Okay.
Foundation, I think, will have a little pre-reception. So, but yep, 6:30 for the general public. And then, yeah, we're keeping pretty busy. I actually was just poking around on our website, looking at numbers for spring break camp. We've officially hit our minimum. So very excited about that. Moving toward doing all day camps that serve as daycare replacement, which is new for us. It comes with a lot of licensing through the state of Michigan. So Noel's been working on that and he's done an excellent job. He was meeting, I think, out on site at Hager today to dot all our I's and cross the T's. And we've gotten approved for Hager as a site and Great River Park as a site for the summer. So I'm really excited about doing that. And then we're just seeing if you got our most recent newsletter, you saw a handful of new programs. So we're broadening, doing more expanding, and really excited to see us hitting minimum numbers for those too. So hopefully that just means more, more parks people and new programming for everybody. So happy to answer any other questions that you might have about what's in my report or otherwise. Let me know.
I have two things for you. I have heard maybe from Bart Brown that the astronomy thing on whatever they did last was outstanding and people should take on the indoor ones. And I think the Webb telescope is coming up next. People should go. She said it's not dry, it's not science, it's really interesting. So
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. It will be in next month's report, but since it just happened, I'll tell you, we had our annual MOU meeting with SAAA, Shoreline Amateur Astronomical Association. Not a mouthful at all. And Riley was in that meeting and was inspired and put together an email template for astronomy programs and Friday night viewing. And we already had seen an increase after we sent that first email in registration. And yes, March is their telescope basics. So if you know anyone who got a telescope for Christmas and they do not know how to use it, they should come to the March program and the folks from SAAA will help them get it calibrated and show them how to maximize use for that. And I think there's some pretty cool stuff going on in the sky tonight, aren't like all the planets?
How would we know?
Yeah. I know. So sorry. We'll gotta work on that timing for your telescope usage here. Any other questions?
Just a quick question, Jessica. The documentary sounds really neat. Is it more like about the history of Ottawa Sands or?
It's broken into 3 parts. So there's a little bit about the history, and then it's just how the acquisition came together, how the master planning went, and then a little bit about the changes that you'll see there, what we kind of hope to see in the future. So pretty focused on ecological restoration. And it's about 20 minutes. So it's not, not 3 hours, but it's certainly not 3 minutes. So a little bit different. We have it probably our longest format video that we've released.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jess? All right, we'll keep going. Are we without Neely today? I guess Neely's not going to make it. Okay. But there is a natural resource management report in there. For those of you who don't know Neely, she usually tries to come to these meetings.
They
but-
have a staff training.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, good. Yeah, she's. If anyone had any questions on Neely's report, they could. I'm sure someone here could.
Just
answer
maybe a
them.
little bit about the greenhouse, the native, can someone?
Yep. So that,
to that.
and Jessica or Jason can hop in here too. So they're putting together, that's a small indoor greenhouse at Eastmanville to work on propagating some of the native seeds that we collect.
Is it in a current building or did they?
There's a picture there in the
They're building it,
packet. It's a relatively small one, but if it's successful, I think we've
So
talked
would
about
this
that.
be the first time that we've propagated those native seeds? Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And normally they're just direct
just
planted.
sow
Yeah,
'em.
exactly. So this, it's going right outside of one of the buildings there at Eastmanville. They constructed it in the garage for warmth sake and then moved it outside. Actually had some issues with snow load on it, so they brought it back in, reinforced it, and I think it's back out now.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I think that'll be very cool. A friend of mine is trying to propagate and grow sequoia in Michigan. And every year he posts pictures of his seeds and how he's trying to propagate them. And maybe one or two will sprout, but he might want to rent a tiny corner of that greenhouse.
They're very affordable. They're cheaper to buy than
Yeah.
sheds. So and
Yeah.
tons of people have sheds.
I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well. Any other questions? I just wanted to give a kind of information too for new members that if you are interested in getting on, Neely sends out an email once a week for work days that happen usually on Friday mornings, but there are other volunteer opportunities on the website if you can't make Friday mornings. But it's great to just get her emails because they always are super informative, even if you can't participate in the park steward work morning on Friday. So I think you could just email Neely, right, to get placed on that if
Yeah, I
you
was gonna
wanted
say, if you
to?
send a note even to OC Parks or any of us and say, hey, I
Okay.
want to get those Friday emails. And we are working on getting her a template too. So
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
And when we meet Martin and Field, we can go over some of those communications options and just help get you guys set up.
yeah,
It's fun too, if you do ever find yourself have a Friday morning, it's fun to meet all the volunteers. There's some real workhorses that show up every week,
Except if it's
so.
really, really cold.
Well, Linda, are you one of the fair weather
I am.
volunteers?
If it's really, really cold, I'm not out there.
All right. We will keep going with the development report then with Glenn. Glenn is the coordinator of, it's a long one. What is it? Fund development and major gifts,
Correct.
correct? Is
That's
that your
correct.
official title? Great.
So I'm the fundraiser. So we finished out December. We finished out the year rather very strong. We had 130 gifts in December of 24, and for a year total of 1,122, which is 10% more than in the prior year. Our average donation for 2024 was $725. And for our average gift in December was 973. So once again, I mean, we had some very strong gifts, which raised our average. Our percent of annual revenue. So we achieved 36% of our goal in December. That's how strong December was. And as a result of that, we're at 232% of goal for the year. So 2024 was very, very good to us. And some development notes, the Rosie Mountain Nature Area Campaign with a goal of $1,015,000. We are currently at $533,463, so over halfway. And we will, the balance of $481,000 yet to raise. We expect to finish that out by this summer. So.
Okay.
I'll take any questions.
Anything for Glenn? All right. Well, thank you. We will move on. There is a strategic plan progress report. Jason, did you want to take that? Or?
Well, and Aaron helped put this together, but we just wanted to provide a written update just on all the different things that have been going on. We have a couple upcoming site visits. So I think, is it next week, Jessica? Going to Huron Clinton and looking at some of their facilities. So, and all that, again, each division, we're working on division plans that then will feed into the Parks and Rec open space plan that then will feed into our millage campaign. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on right now. But happy to answer any questions.
Questions? All right. Okay, thanks, Jason. And then we have a financial status summary report. Um,
So Brandy has been under the weather the past few days.
Oh, no.
But she put together, we reviewed this and then she helped put together kind of some of the highlights just to try to help provide some of that information. So again, the majority of the information on the memo is from fiscal year 2024, which is still being audited right now. So it's not quite closed out officially until the audit's done. So that was October 1st, 23 through September 24, end of September 24. So, and then happy to review any of that. I think it's all pretty self-explanatory. Overall, we were under budget and over revenue. So,
I'll just say the finance committee will have a chance to review this when they meet next. So
Yep.
we can give you a little more detail if you have particular questions, assuming I'm still doing that.
and we try to do the financial report, status report updates to the board or the commission every quarter.
Yep.
So.
Great. No, it's a great summary
is.
format. So we appreciate.
And she
all
was doing a
Brandy's
lot of this
on
work to
that.
help with the audit, right, in preparation for the auditors. So trying to analyze all of that, anticipating any questions that might come up. So,
She's been a huge
Yep.
help, I would
and
say.
I bet she's
She's
probably
online.
listening.
Brandy,
if I
you've
know
been doing
her,
a great
so.
job.
Very good. Any questions on the financial report? All right, we'll keep rolling. Usually we have several committee reports every month, but we just have a couple updates today. So Jane is, as she mentioned, our foundation rep. So do you have a verbal kind of a update or summary for us from
Yeah.
the foundation?
Yeah, a couple things. The foundation board met a couple weeks ago and reported that the foundation met its annual appeal goal. So 2024 was a good year for the foundation as well. Currently continuing to recruit new board members. The board would like to bring the membership up to a full 15 if possible. And this year we added three new board members, although it's not a net gain of 3 because we had a couple people term out. But so those recruitment efforts continue. Again, to remind you of some dates, the new date out there is the Piece Together Parks Jigsaw Puzzle Competition on March 1st in Grand Haven. It might already be full, I don't know, because this is super popular, a really fun thing to get a team together, compete to put a jigsaw puzzle together in as short a time as possible and have a good time. So
Or
you can
not?
check that out through the foundation on the website, I think. And that's, I think, at the Eagles in Grand Haven. I know we've got at least 2 teams with Parks Commission representatives on. So, you know, if you're competitive in that way, take a look at it. Art for the Parks again, April 26th at Hemlock Crossing. Breakfast lunch at the park is June 12. The Grand Explorers Trail Race, June 21. The board will have its annual retreat on March 14. So we've got kind of a busy first half of the year coming up. And then I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, you know, continuing to meet with donors, cultivate donors, try and meet the goals we have. As Glenn mentioned, the fundraising for Rosie Mound is going very well. So we anticipate that will be over the goal soon.
Great. Thanks, Jane. Any questions? All right, we'll keep going then. Lucas was our, well, we actually had to have an ad hoc planning committee meeting because there were a couple time-sensitive issues that we needed on today's agenda. So last year's planning committee meeting, since we haven't established the committees for 2025 last week, but Lucas couldn't make it today. So I think I'll just let that stand. Several of these items Kurt has either touched on or their motions and new business items coming up here. I think the only couple that are new is the Ottawa Sands Rotary Project. I think Kurt has talked about this before, but the Spring Lake Rotary Club is looking at sponsoring kind of a nice seating area along the trail that goes around the Ottawa Sands Lake. So Kurt's been working with them on that and coming up with some concept plans and cost estimates to see what we can pull together with them. The one that's under the Volmer project proposal section under the minutes was that members of the Volmer family have approached Parks about possibly funding a drinking water source at Stearns Creek Park. So Kurt's been really helpful working with them to see if the amount that they have available to fund could actually support something like that. You know, maybe even something as simple as a hand pump, nothing fancy, but I know the health department will have to weigh in on that too, right, Kurt? And is there any updates or are we
No
still
updates.
coordinating? Okay. And then the strategic plan implementation. Jason kind of already touched on that, but we talked a little bit about the division level strategic plans that are part of the greater strategic plan. So community engagement, natural resources management, operations, kind of having their division level strategic plans. And then one other thing I did want to note for new folks, there is an org chart for the park staff that I always find helpful as you're coming in, like who does what and who reports to who and that kind of thing. But that is in the onboarding packet too. So some of you might find that helpful as well. So. And then, the last item too, because it was on the communication, we did talk about and review the communication that was sent in requesting pickleball courts at Grosse Park. That is kind of part of the 5-year parks and open space plan that's coming up, soliciting input. But I guess during brief discussions, as we've talked about in the past, township level parks are more for ball fields and courts and that kind of thing, whereas the county parks are more focused on kind of the natural resource assets for that. So I think the general opinion of the planning committee was that pickleball wasn't a great fit at Grosse Park at this time anyway. So
Do we have a request from the township to look at this, or is this just?
it was one
from an
individual, correct.
Okay.
So yeah, if you look in, I think it was actually included in the packet
Yes.
too, way up front. So yep, exactly.
And I guess my question would be, did somebody respond to the?
Yes, I've had email, and I suggested, if that's the reason the letter was in there, I had suggested to her one way to formally address the Parks Commission was to send us a letter that we could include, and then she might attend a meeting. I think today she had another conflict of time, but.
I appreciated Field's question. That was the same one that I wondered about, if it came from the township or an individual. So.
And I share the comment that you made that I'd rather see not tennis courts and baseball fields. I think that's a local issue. But if the township is interested in it, we need to at least look at it.
Sure. Yep.
Does Chester Township have a parks committee or department?
Probably not.
They have a park. I know, I've been through that before, but how formal that is, I don't know.
I was trying to look a little bit at Chester and Wright Township, and it was a little unclear
Mhm.
if there was. any
Some of her
restrictions.
points were well taken in the sense of that community already has a lot of openness, and I think that's I understood where she was coming from. I just wanted it to be more than one individual, and so I thought that was the township level. I think needed to weigh into that a little bit more to have a conversation. I think with our Parks Commission. It's my opinion. But, yeah.
Anyone else? All right, we don't have any old business, so we will keep going with new business. And the first item up is approval of the 2025 Parks and Recreation Committee schedule. I think that's page 35 of our PDFs. So there is a suggested motion there, if anyone would like to make that to open discussion.
I'll make the motion as submitted
Okay,
by staff.
do we have support?
Support.
Thanks, Jane. All right, so what we have here is kind of similar to what they put together last year, or just, first it's listed out on dates, and then I like the graphic and the visual y'all put together that kind of pulls it all together, which is nice. But this is what we currently have proposed. So open for feedback, discussion. I guess I have one item. Is there a reason we can't just go with a third Wednesday of the month? Why it has to be the second to the last Wednesday?
We were just trying to time it. So like our focus really was focusing on making sure we had time to get our material, because some material will then go to the board's planning committee and then on to the
Mhm.
board for approval. So that was what last, we didn't necessarily, we would just have to look at that. I don't know.
So
So-
if I look at July, this is where I got confused, and I didn't realize, for those of you who know me, it doesn't take much. But July, we meet the day after the Board of Commissioners, is that right?
Mhm,
In April, it looks like as well.
mhm.
So would it not be better if we met on the 16th and not the 23rd?
That meeting, because, right, the meeting that's important is the meeting on the
5th,
12th
12th?
of August. Because our stuff will go from July to the August planning committee.
So I actually have two questions about this then.
Do that?
When I first came on the Parks Commission, because we were a commission, our things went directly to the Board of Commissioners, did they not?
No, they've always gone to the committee level, and we're assigned to the planning committee.
Okay, well then I'll ask this question. Is there a reason that our stuff doesn't go, since we are a commission, directly to the Board of Commissioners? I don't know the answer to that. I have no preconceived notion.
So I would, right, that would be one question I would have at some point in time, once we have a new county administrator who's been here and settled, or the board. It would be a discussion that would incorporate all of the other boards and commissions, right? But
Okay.
so I think that would be something that, at some point in time, be worth having a conversation about.
Okay.
So that's what, it's less about the meetings the same month, it's the upcoming one.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just looking at
Well,
it, why it can't be the third.
So we would have to just sit down and look at all that. Right? The one we proposed
Mhm.
worked. So if we want to change it,
I mean, they really
It affects-
are mostly the 3rd, except for the July
Right, there's
and the August,
April,
October. I guess they're
July and
it's
October
split.
would be affected.
yeah, October too.
I mean, we could go with this and amend it if we needed to, I suppose.
as long as it moves us up, right? If
Right.
it moved us up, it wouldn't necessarily,
They would all move us up,
I think then we would have to adjust all of our
committee meeting.
committee meetings we
Yeah.
set to
So
try to give us
it's-
time to make sure we had things coming from committee.
This isn't a change, really.
I think as long for me, as long as I have the dates for the whole year, I can plug them in and it's not going to be an issue for me. Because half the time I don't know if it's the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month anyway. So,
Okay.
I mean,
The calendar is very helpful to
Yeah,
see, and I can
it
see why
is.
we say second to last Wednesday.
Okay. So people are generally good with keeping it as is, or as presented on the, okay,
Vote now.
all right, yes. All right, we will put it to a vote then. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. All right, check. And item 15B is the Grand Haven Open Space MOU that should be on, let's see, page 37 of the PDF. We do have a suggested motion on there I just wanted to throw out to see if we might want to entertain a suggested motion to approve and authorize the director to execute the Grand Haven Dunes memorandum of understanding or one substantially similar in coordination with Corporation Council. In case things need to get changed, because it hasn't gone through the final review, right?
No, Corporation Council has approved it. Anytime I would, but it hasn't been finalized and approved, so it's going to the Parks and Rec Committee in Grand Haven.
Mhm.
And then Ferrisburg, I think, still formally needs to approve it. They've all have given us any feedback, but it just, that kind of substantially similar gives us that wiggle room if there's a minor edit. So, and I would always run that by our Corporation Council, so that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Do we have anyone who would like to make a suggested motion?
I have a question.
We have to make a motion first, and then you can ask all the questions you want.
I'll make the motion.
All right. Do we have a second?
Support.
All right, thank you, Linda. All right, floor is open. Go ahead, Field.
I
Yes.
realize it's late in the process on this, but I've been through that property a lot.
Mhm.
There's a lot of it that is, connecting the Kitchell Dunes to Ottawa Sands. And then there's stuff closer to, well, probably all connects to Kitchell Dunes. But closer to the road, to North Shore Road, you have property that potentially could be developed property. Inland, it's almost impossible to develop it. Has there been any consideration of dividing that and basically having the area that is appropriate for trails and so forth and close to the river, close and appropriate for connecting the two, to divide it and have that be the area that we're talking about, and then the rest of it, basically the city could do something else with it, for example, sell it?
So I think that would be the city's prerogative. Previously, the city manager with Grand Haven, Pat McGinnis, had always had the notion that that could happen at some point in the future. I think when they did a city plan, citywide master plan, it's now designated as a natural area. I would have to check that. But really, that's part of the conversation with the city and this just formalizes the arrangement between the two. And then the city could make a determination if they wanted to exclude any of that.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Anyone else?
City of Grand Haven has, as a considerable pension underfunded liability, and
Yes.
those of us that are citizens of Grand Haven are somewhat concerned about that. And if there are practical ways to raise a bit of money, it's a good thing. And in this case, I don't know that there is or isn't, but it would be interesting to look at.
No, and I know so we've had lots of conversations about this property, and so I think that would be part of that dialogue kind of through that process, so. So this really just lays the foundation to have conversations. It would allow us to do some planning on site, to work and connect those trails through from Ottawa Sands to Kitchell-Dune. It also allows us to help develop a natural resources management plan for the site that would kind of lead as the guiding document for the management of the site. And then I think the other thing we would offer and bring to the table is helping coordinate with any grant applications then moving forward. And then Kitchell-Dune, Ferrisburg, the thought process is maybe they can bring some of the volunteers if there is a trail connected to help manage that trail. We would help them develop, the operation and maintenance standards. So it's really a collaborative approach, but it just starts the initial conversation.
If people haven't been back there, it's really interesting. It's almost like a little microclimate. in the section closer to the river, very different from the area to the north and the south. It's really different.
Cool. Thanks, Field. Anyone else? All right, I think we're ready to go to put it to a vote then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. All right, we will move on to 15C, which is the Rosie Mound Expansion Master Plan. And just for folks who haven't seen the packet before too, I forgot to point out, like this one's on page 43 of your PDF. But there is, if it has been through one of the parks committees already or discussed anyway from an advisory perspective, it is listed at the bottom of the motion sheet too. So this one has been through the planning committee, so, or at least discussed. So do we have a proposed motion to approve the Rosie Mound Expansion Area Master Plan as the official guiding document for improvements to the Rosie Mound Natural Area?
So move.
All right, thanks, Jane.
Second.
Thanks, Allison. All right, planning committee, you guys can jump in anytime, please. All right, so Kurt, do you want to give a little overview on this?
I will.
Or is there anything you wanted to highlight?
Well, I might just say a couple things, right? This is the end of several month process. So it was just for the new folks. We started in maybe August and worked on 3 concept plans that we presented to the public in early October at an open house. So we got input there, and at the same time, we set up an online survey where people could comment on the plans. It was over 2,000 responses to that. So we took that input and produced a new plan that was kind of what we thought was the best scenario given the input we had. That was presented in, when did we do that?
December.
In
Yeah,
December, I
think it was
guess.
December,
Okay.
yeah.
And during all that time, we were allowing public comment. We posted things on the website, all the plans on the website so people could talk. So I did want to mention, right, since that last meeting, we've had 2 public responses. One said, how dare you do anything there? You didn't want anything, which we did have a number of people who really didn't want to see any improvements at all. The other one was, how dare you only allow me on 2.5% of the site, which is the area that we think we'll disturb by the plan that we've produced. So I guess we're somewhere in between those 2. So really, very little has changed from the plan that we saw in December. We tweaked a couple of the notes to make them clear. We tweaked the cost estimate to make sure it was clear and we could see the phases of it. So we think this plan is really good for us moving forward. I don't know if anybody has particular details they want to talk about. I'm happy to do that, but we think this is, I think people have seen the process we've done and most people are happy with what we produced at this point, and that's why we're not getting much public comment. We did get good publicity, right? It was the top fold on the Tribune, so there was again opportunity for people to contact us. Any emails came right to me, so I would respond personally to them. So lots of opportunity.
Yeah, go ahead, Allison.
Thanks for all your work on this. I'm wondering, would you be able to restate again what were the overall main points that the general public had? And then what were the items due to having the public input that you, as a result of the input, that you chose to implement into this plan?
Sure. So the initial concepts involved, there were 3. One was kind of a minimalist concept. One was what we thought was, we called it a maximal concept because we really proposed some big things even up on the dune. And then we had one that was intermediate. We proposed some things that have been talked about. For example, a large scale community gathering space, a shelter that could accommodate a lot of people, because we don't have that in the park system now. We get requests for, something that 200 people could fit under, pretty regularly, or at least we used to regularly, until people found out we don't have such a thing. So we proposed some things like that. So basically what came back was, no, we want something more in keeping with the site, which if you would have asked me from the beginning, I could have probably told you that, right? People love it. They don't want to see it disturbed too much. So really, we went back to the minimal scheme, right, which is keeping most of the development very close to the road. But what did come out, and I think rightly so, is people want trails and they want it accessible. So that's what the new plan really does. It provides a new access point, which we think is necessary to get everybody to this site. It's difficult to get to if you go from the existing access point. So this is a new access point on the north side. So it provides good access that way. It provides the barrier-free access that we want, and it provides the trail access that everybody, is positive about. Not everybody, but most people are positive about trails, right? That's why people love our park so much, is you can access them by trails. So I think we followed that directive and really it's like we always do. It's always balancing the natural features versus providing appropriate access. And this one, thankfully, we hate it when we see, a natural area disturbed greatly, like a sand mine, which was there, but that does give you the opportunity to do something there without messing anything else up. So we really did a light touch on everything that is very natural and mature there, and kept the other higher intensity things in those areas that were already disturbed. Does that answer it pretty much?
Yeah, I really appreciate
Okay.
that. Thanks, Kurt.
My impression is that north access is going to be pretty low impact to implement as well.
Yeah, right. It's coming in the main area there, and right was, as you get into this big, what we wanted to do is provide this expansive view. If you've been in there, right, even the sand mining area is quite dramatic. And so everybody should be able to get that. Even someone who doesn't want to get out of their car, they can just come and sit and view it. So that's what we did.
I was able to do a volunteer day there with my workplace on election day with Neely. And so we got to go back into that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a natural bowl. Unnatural bowl right now.
Right. Yep.
It is quite striking.
Yep.
Pretty exciting to see.
I had a quick question, Kurt. I really like the map that shows the 4 different phases, the color-coded phases. Clearly, phase 1 is going to be done right away. Do we have any sense of, I know it probably depends on grant acquisition and fundraising and stuff, but do you have any rough timeline ideas for that?
Sure. So we've been talking about this. So we are going to do some things pretty much immediately, just minor things, but signing and making sure people can get through the site and kind of know where they're going, right? So they're not just running all over the place. So that's going to happen this spring. Our staff pretty much is going to do that.
Pedestrian access only, though.
What's that?
Pedestrian access.
Pedestrian access only, right? We're not going to allow vehicles in there initially. So yes, that is a big point. But so people can access it. We're looking at making another crossing of the road there so people can get right in from the trail on the other side. So that's initially. All along, we have set out a schedule where we would submit a grant application here in April for a first bigger phase, something like $1 million or more, Glenn? Or more.
Less, right? It's never less.
But that's what we had planned, somewhere around $1 million for what we would call a phase 1, which is not the exact phasing that's in there, but it gets the main parking area and the facilities there, not a modern restroom in phase 1, but a vault toilet, and gets the trail loop, the barrier-free trail loop, and then improves some of the trails, and certainly gets you out to the lake from that location. So that's what we're hoping to do in what we call phase 1. So that's what I would present to you next week or next month, what we would hope to do for this phase 1 and put in this grant application. We think we have a very good chance of getting the grant. If that's the case, That grant would get recommended in December of this year, and we would, as you remember, it sometimes takes them a while to get the grant agreements to us, so it's probably in the fall of 2026 before
Okay.
we would start construction. So I'm thinking 2027 would be the goal to have it
Okay.
open.
Great.
And that's, so then this, the fundraising initiative is the seed money, the match, or most of the
Mhm.
match.
Correct.
And, the one thing that's worth noting in conversations that I had with fiscal as we were talking about all of this phase one, even though we're talking about it now and we'll do the grant, I don't think phase one was technically in our rec plan now. Right, when we did it. So, that's, we were, so that's, the other ones then will be incorporated, right, the different phases as we prioritize them in the
Mhm.
next recreation plan. So,
Mhm.
So that's a good, we'll have to look at that too, Jason. I'm just thinking about that. If it actually isn't in the plan, we may have to amend the plan next month as well to include
yeah, I don't
that
think it is.
project.
I don't,
Okay.
so we'll have to
Okay.
check. Because the acquisition was, but I don't
The
think.
acquisition itself was, but not the development of it.
Correct.
Yes.
New members question. I keep hearing the term grants, 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 grants. Are those coming from the Natural Resources Trust Fund?
Correct.
Okay, so,
That's the one we normally go from.
They're very good at it.
all right, well, we should be pretty popular with them, I would think. Second question, I notice on the plan that you have 2 covered interpretive activity
Mhm.
areas. Why do you need 2?
Well, this relates to our community engagement strategy, right? Where we're trying to do more programming that's suitable for different size groups. So those could be 2 separate subphases depending on what we think we need at some point. But
It will, so a large part of it will be outdoor education groups.
Right,
So if we
that's what
bring out a school classroom group and they split them up into like 3 different groups, we'll be able to have at least 2 that are covered, kind of like an outdoor classroom that would lend itself. So,
It's never just one classroom. If you ever come to Hemlock during the day in May, they like to bring like 100 kids at a time. So we found that a lot of our current spaces are just a little bit too small to accommodate the size groups that want to come out. And folks are really shy about coming out if there's not a covered area just in case something happens. And as we think about the expansion of our outdoor education programming, the dunes are really one of the most unique features that we've had. So that we have. So we want to make sure that we're developing curriculum that gets kids out to those areas specifically.
Thank you.
and they could also serve for, if a group wanted to go out and do yoga on their own, or it could be anything really. We're working, Jessica mentioned the interpretive. We're working with Kent County and looking at the Grand River Greenway and then a whole interpretive plan. And I think our thought is we'll have 6 different interpretive nodes that they wouldn't be very similar, kind of incorporated placemaking that somebody could just go and have lunch. Maybe it's right. School group goes on their own for a field trip or our outdoor education program. So,
but I think we called them that because the educational programming is the primary purpose,
Right.
it's not just a picnic shelter, right?
That's great.
Yeah.
Right.
All in favor?
Great, good comments. Anyone else? All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote then. Let's see, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Exciting stuff.
Big stuff.
All right, 15D is the Item Explorers Trail Stearns Bayou Connector Grant Agreement, and this will be the second amendment. This did go to planning, and this is just a request for extending, it's a time extension for the grant, and that's all this is, even though there's a lot of supporting information on the motion sheet. So that's what we'll be voting on, is just a time extension. So there is a suggested motion, if someone would like to make that.
So move.
All right, thanks, Jane. Do we have support?
Support.
Thanks, Linda. All right, I don't think we have to. Does anyone have any specific questions? Otherwise, I think we could probably just go ahead and put this to a vote since it's just a time extension. All right. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right. Motion carries. All right. And the final one is the Ottawa County Parks Foundation reimbursement request. That's the last page of our packet here. We have a suggested motion to request $160,900 reimbursement from the Ottawa County Parks Foundation for their portion of the Rosie Mound expansion acquisition costs.
So moved.
Okay, thanks, Allison. Go ahead. Thanks, Linda.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay.
All right. Kurt, did we want to go over anything with this?
Well, I'll
or
just
it's
say a
kinda
couple things.
interim
I mean,
overview?
most of you know, right, the actual acquisition of the additional 127 acres that we're adding to Rosie Mound occurred in December. And that is complete. It's done. It's ours.
December 20th.
December 20th. So this is more for the foundation, almost at the foundation's request. Well, let me just say, the whole funding plan included funds from the foundation to be included as part of the acquisition. Among other things, there's some of our own park funds. We got a huge grant for it. So that was part of it. So this is really requesting to reimburse parks, but it's also good for the foundation to be able to say they actually did help to fund it and not just promise to help fund it or anything like that. So this will make it official that that portion of the project has officially been funded by the Parks Foundation.
They want to give us money. We want to take their.
Well, yeah, we'll do that too. We'll do that too, but.
Well, and I've mentioned several times, but there's a lot of enthusiasm on the foundation for this project. So I think they, the board, as you say, really wants to be partners in not only the development, but the acquisition of it. So.
Great. Good partners. Anyone else?
For those of you who are new,
Go
this is a little unusual. Often we will request funds from the foundation towards the end of the year after we've seen how the year goes. And if they pledged funds for a particular project. This one, yeah, it just happened in December, but we want to take care of it now.
Good. All right, are we ready to vote? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda here. We have our second public heard opportunity, but we don't have anyone in the audience. Just a reminder to those of you watching the YouTube, you're welcome to submit comments to the Ottawa County Parks and Recreation Commission attention at any point during the month. So we're happy to take anything in writing from you folks online. All right, item 17 is commissioners heard. We just, for the new folks, just do a real quick go around the table, just see if anyone has any information they'd like to share that's Parks Commission related. That's not a formal agenda item, but maybe just a super quick comment that anyone wants to make. But Jane, you want to start?
Yeah, just welcome to Martin and Field. Glad you've joined us, and welcome back, Kelly. So it should be a great year. One other thing real quickly is many of you probably are aware of this, but the DNR had proposed clear cutting some forest land up north for a solar array.
Oh, yeah.
And that got a lot of blowback from the public. So they're rethinking that project, but also taking public comment. And so it was interesting to me to, kind of read both pros and cons of that type of project. And so if you'd like to make comment, you have an opportunity to do so. But it also made me think about, as we move forward, even here, we've got our, the issue with cell tower siting and that type of thing. Not to suggest that we would be looking at putting solar arrays in our parks, but it is an issue. So it's at least an opportunity to become a little bit more familiar with what the DNR is doing and weigh in if you want to. So I think you can do that through the DNR. There's a website, probably get to it through the DNR. I don't know if anybody has the actual website address for those comments, but it was in an article I read, so it's out there.
I think if you Google it, you can find
you
it.
could-
It's
you
out
could
there a
find it.
lot. Yeah, good. All right. Thanks, Jane. Allison?
Kudos to Parks Operation with Pigeon Creek. I've enjoyed cross-country skiing a couple times there, and they're doing a great job. And welcome aboard to both the new members, Martin Field, and welcome back, Kelly. And I also just wanted to bring up one comment that came from a constituent recently as a question, wondered if our parks has ever considered having weddings done at Eastmanville Farms. And so I'm just bringing it up. I don't know if it's ever been discussed, but I'm just stating it here because it was a question asked from the community.
I'm sure we have. So, and we would, depending on the size of the crowd, if it's more than 50, we do a special permit. If it's less than 50, we don't require a permit. But if they wanted to use a facility or something, that would require some more coordination. None of the agricultural buildings right now are set up for public use. So.
So that's interesting. They could do it there. We've talked for a long time, if we renovate that barn as an event space, it will no doubt be used for weddings.
Radar,
Yeah,
right?
still on the radar,
Kurt?
We do get the occasional wedding out there, usually small, 15 or 20 people max, kind of ceremonies, but we do get those out there
Sure.
occasionally.
I think for clarity, I think this person was meaning more the facility would be turned into more of a venue.
Could they write a check?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can make it
Million
happen much
cover.
faster.
that is true. That's true. Paul?
Nothing from me.
Hey, Martin, anything?
Just say thank you for the warm welcome.
Yeah, good.
Happy to be here.
Good. I don't have anything else. Linda?
Two things. Welcome, everybody. I remember being the new kid, especially being the new kid, having not lived in Ottawa County for my entire life. So it'll be cool. And then just a reminder, because this is always one of those things, you'll get calendar invites from the parks for all of these meetings. And once we figure out committees, you'll get calendar invites. Try not to ignore them or not think that they're not for you, because they are. They're a wonderful thing, and the staff is really good about reminding us where we're supposed to be and when.
And all of our committee meetings are virtual availability too. So,
Yep, good point. Field, anything?
Nope, thank you.
Okay.
Very much appreciate the warm, cheerful, hot weather welcome that I
Joe?
No, just a warm welcome back, Kelly, and then Martin and Phil, welcome aboard.
OH?
I wanted you to say it
Strike
first.
that from the record.
Nobody even
Nice.
said anything to me yesterday, Joe.
We have not
I was
adjourned.
going to wander around the building looking for
I'm
nothing.
still gleaming. so-
Parks topics only, please.
Going to Ohio, that's all.
I'm just teasing you guys. All right. So we do have closed session.
We do?
Pardon? Correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I will try to make it quick so people can drive home in the light
Yes.
before it gets dark out. But so what we will need is a motion to go into closed session, and then we'll take roll.
So moved.
All right. Thanks,
Support.
Linda. Thanks, Joe. All right, Ginny, could you call the roll for a closed session, and then we'll shut down the online meeting?
Bush,
Here.
Greenlee is absent. Harris,
Here.
Hill, also absent. Longstreet,
Yes.
McCaffrey,
Yep.
Medema,
Here.
Reichart,
Here.
Rice,
Yes.
Sachs.
You're
All right, great. And I'll just wait for Jess to confirm.